don't know, but the town center was recently sold for $177 million, right?
Correct.
And there's new ownership, and they're planning to put about $50 million into the building to upgrade it. Now, every office building has classification. So there's a Class A building, Class B, Class C. And you can probably imagine by going into a building if there's marble and fountains and atriums, that's usually a Class A building. But the town center is, and that's all of the buildings, so for one, except for the residential. All of those.
At the hotel.
Oh, the hotel is excluded too. So the building was classified as a Class A, and the objective of this new owner is to make it an A+. So that's a good thing for us in Southfield, because you can't get an A+ building anywhere. So there are certain corporations that want that ambiance of being in this Class A structure. So that's good, because that rating alone is going to bring some corporations to our city. And we're being joined by our...
Hi. I apologize.
City administrator.
Went to the library.
We just want to make sure you got your exercise.
Oh, you did.
We haven't started the mayor's walk yet.
I need to join you.
So that's just one of the things that are happening. And so Fred and Shelley are both here. Shelley is going to give us an overview of what's happening in the city with our economic development. You all know along Evergreen Road, you're seeing a lot of things happening. She's going to cover that and some of the other things. So Shelley?
Sure.
Oh, before we do that, let's introduce ourselves. So, Marty, start with
Hi,
you.
Marty Williams. I'm with Mayor Lawrence.
Rick Bloomberg, City Treasurer. Bill Johns, Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness.
Cynthia Bernuti, resident,
Which
5,000 South Town Center.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Marilyn Gripper, I'm the president of the Pinewood Manor Homeowners Association.
Ken Peterson, I'm president of the 5,000 Town Center Association.
Tony Martin, president of the Beacon Square Civic Association, at home with Mayor Lawrence.
Rod Parks, president of La Chateau Condominiums.
Charles Harris, recently retired president of Riverbank.
Yeah,
Retired,
retired, huh?
How'd they let you go?
After 28 years, I guess.
Wow.
How'd they let you go? I need hints.
You have to bribe a few people.
So there you go.
Greg Miles, local blogger.
Lynn Fong Yi, longtime resident of the Green Trails and community activist / advocate.
Harmon Gunther, president of Cranbrook Village Homeowners Association, on the board of COSA.
Fred Zorn, acting city administrator.
And hello, everybody. I am, my card says Rochelle Freeman. That's my real name. Everybody calls me Shelley. And I'm the business development manager for the city of Southfield. As the mayor announced when she first started her discussion, the last few years have been very challenging for many communities and really for the state of Michigan. You could say that the state was really kind of shut down. There hadn't been any new construction projects for several years, and even when a Taco Bell or some other fast casual restaurant emerged, everyone was all excited because there really has not been any development anywhere. In a lot of our areas throughout southeast Michigan who are very heavily reliant on the auto industry and the auto suppliers, many of those companies significantly downsized or went out of business. And the city of Southfield, we happen to have been poised very well because we have a wide range of diverse business industries in the city of Southfield. And so while most of those companies are still reliant on the automotive sector, they were able to sustain themselves a little bit better than some of the other communities, like our friends in Troy and Auburn Hills. They were really just devastated by the downturn in the economy. So when Denso kind of really just held their own, but Lear, a lot of places, you went into their building, and when you walked through the hall, you had to turn the light off because they were just, it was really a terrible situation for many companies, and they were completely empty, their spaces were empty, and then I guess also with new technology and the way people run their business, a lot of people just don't need the office space that they used to. So if you think about your careers and how you conduct your everyday business, a lot of people are off with their computer off-site and doing things in coffee shops and that type of thing. So when people are looking to lease space, they don't need to lease as much space as they used to. And so the city of Southfield has over 27 million square feet of office in our community. Some of those properties, hi there. No.
Okay, I'm sorry to bother you.
If you go up the stairs and through the main pavilion, it's in the front building that faces Evergreen. It's in the council chambers. So the city of Southfield has some large users that occupy their own properties, and that's not even included in the 27 million square feet. So BASF, Tyson Crump, those types of people, they're kind of contained in their own buildings, Meadowbrook Insurance. A lot of that's not really part of the larger number. So we had all this empty space, and then with the resurgence of the city of Detroit, which many of us are very excited that Detroit is making a strong comeback, but the city of Southfield was built on pulling all the tenants out of Detroit, and it looks like the city of Detroit is trying to pull the people back to Detroit. So Blue Cross Blue Shield, one of the larger companies that hit the city of Southfield hard when they vacated their property, leaving 800,000 square feet of empty space, kind of off-site in a very large campus environment that was kind of from the more populated areas that we have for office users. So that really left a lot of negative situations for the city. So, that was then the restructuring of the auto industry, and today we've seen a huge turnaround. We've had many large new companies looking at changing the way that they're doing business. There's a lot of deals for real estate, so a lot of people are consolidating their offices, and they're finding that Southfield, because of our freeway access, and if you're doing business anywhere in the metropolitan area, it really is ideal to have your central offices in the city of Southfield. So while we've seen some people consolidate out of the city, like DTE, and they vacated a large structure on Lasser Road, many others consolidated into the city of Southfield. AT&T, they brought all of their people in off of 8 Mile and Southfield Road in that area. We were very excited to have them bring all their people back into the city. CBS Radio, they just finished their consolidation. They brought all of their radio stations in off of American Drive in that business park that's located over there. It's a really outstanding facility. We're excited about that consolidation. Denso Corporation, they continue to be very successful. They announced a $44 million investment in their location, and they're hiring over 250 new employees to work at their facility. They're off the Telegraph Road. Another large corporation that is moving into the city, and we've seen a strong resurgence of data centers come into the city. And we have a company, the city granted them a tax abatement of about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and because of some issues that they had, they weren't able to get that going. But the company's called Cybernetics, and they plan on making over $40 million investment off of Lasser in 9 Mile area. They're building a large data center and moving their headquarters into that facility. So I don't want to jump all over the place, but if we just talk about the data center section for a minute, data centers are where businesses store all of their data. So instead of having in-house data functions through their IT departments, instead of keeping it at their location, they'll store it all at these different facilities. And so these facilities have been a real great success for the city of Southfield. They've taken a lot of our Class C property, which the mayor mentioned, the different ratings of office space. Class C would be the lowest space, and as the cost of leasing space decreased, many people moved up to nicer office space, abandoning all these empty buildings, leaving a bunch of empty buildings that were kind of shells. So these data centers come in and they really gut the interior of the building and put millions and millions and millions of dollars into the facilities. And we have several of them located right around this building. There's a company, you see the sign, 123.net. They house data from some of the most major corporations, federal agencies. It's all here. And many of the companies have staff that come and are placed at that facility to monitor their data. So we have a lot of very high-paid people that are brought in to monitor their data. So we have that wonderful facility. We also have a lot of large data centers located at the Galleria. The space is well-suited for that. So we have some large data centers located there. And then where the cybernetics is moving into, that's another big hub for data. And so we're really excited that we've found a niche for that. The city has been wired with fiber optics throughout the entire community, making it the ideal location. Many of the people will have redundant locations in different parts of the country, and the state of Michigan really is very well suited. I know Bill Johns is here to talk about emergency management, but if you compare us to many other parts of the country, we're really kind of low in terms of hurricanes, earthquakes. We're kind of a boring state. The weather's kind of temperate the whole time. So this is like the ideal location. So we have a lot of facilities in the community that locate here because of that. So that's the whole data world. The other wonderful thing that we've seen is if you drive along Telegraph Road, starting at 8 Mile, which is the entrance to our community, you'll see an outstanding auto supplier and an automation company come out. They occupy both sides of the street. They do robots, and they're going to be installing a huge robot on Telegraph Road, which we're really excited about. Unfortunately, it's not going to be moving, but it's our first form of industrial art. And it really showcases the technology that is along Telegraph Road. So Kamal, they're an outstanding company, and they've made millions of dollars of investment in the recent past, bringing new jobs. They are actively hiring. I think all the companies that I will mention are hiring a lot of jobs, and if anybody knows anybody that is looking in the engineering field, I have a long list of companies that are hiring. So if you start at Kamal, and then you can see Lear, which is just a fabulous building that the city was happy to help to relocate their headquarters on Telegraph Road. They're growing so much, they've taken space across the street from them as well.
The old Sims store.
It's just a beautiful facility, what they've done to it, and that's part of the Lear group now. Moving down the road even further, there's a lot of other technology companies. Peterson Springs, the city was happy to help them a couple of years ago. They do high-performance powertrain equipment. Maxitrol, if you at 9 Mile and Telegraph, they build gas valves. You can see that they're underway for a huge rebuild on their facility. That's their national headquarters as well as the international company. They occupy both sides of the street. Recently they have relocated some people and purchased another property because they were outgrowing their facility. IAC, International Automotive Components, they're growing like crazy. They had recently moved into the city of Southfield and made a $4 million investment. I had mentioned Denso Corporation. They recently purchased another building. They're growing considerably. They made a $44 million investment at their location. And then moving down the line, you've seen all the auto dealers reinvest. Sarah Chevrolet, which is just a beautiful facility, all the way down to the Mini Cooper, which just has an outstanding building that they've erected over there. And if you drive by at night, it looks really cool with the car. Really cool space. So that's our Telegraph Technology Quarter. The city also has a couple of other nodes that we have really concentrated a lot of effort on, one of which is our Downtown Development Authority, which is around Northland Mall and Providence Hospital and Oakland Community College. Oakland Community College is the fastest growing college in the country at this time. Community college, and it's just an outstanding facility. And I don't know when the last time any of you have been at OCC. Do you even know where it is? Does everyone know where it is? It's an incredible facility. They had recently made over a $27 million investment at the college, where they built an operating room. They have a lot of wonderful programs there for people to take extended 2 years. You get your associate's degree and then take these certificate programs, and they have a whole host of medical-related careers that a lot of them have waiting lists, and you really have to be a high-performing student to participate in. But it's a great facility, and I had recently spoken with Dr. Reese, the head of the dean, and they're going to be having some programs because they're celebrating, I think it's their 50th anniversary, but they're expanding rapidly. The city of Detroit is really promoting the high school students to attend college, and so they feel that a lot of those students are going to go to the OCC campus in Southfield, and they recently purchased some property that the city of Southfield had owned, the former Ramada Inn, as well as the adjacent property.
We took it down, we just did something.
It's clean, it's beautiful, and it's a lot of progress going. Providence Hospital also made substantial upgrades and investments in that entire area. Over the last couple of years, have seen an investment of $101,473,000, created over 800 jobs, retained 923 jobs. The area has seen 939,000 square feet of renovated office and 69,000 square feet of new office space, all in that downtown area. 70% of the new investment is related to health care, and the DDA is part of the Oakland County initiative for Medical Main Street. And in fact, tomorrow we're taking a trip to Grand Rapids to learn more about the initiatives that they're doing in Grand Rapids so that we can glean some of their activities and they can learn about some of the things that we're doing. We have a lot of connections between the university, or OCC, the hospital, and some of our large healthcare providers that are in that area. So we're really excited about that tour. And that's a big economic development initiative. The other large area that we concentrate our time and energy is this area, and it's our city center area. This area has also seen a tremendous amount of investment in the last few years. Mayor mentioned that this year we're looking to rebuild Evergreen Road. It's a $12 million initiative that we're hoping will help spur economic development for this area. The city, and perhaps you'll talk more about our new town-gown relationship that we're forming with Lawrence Tech, but the university's changing the way that they operate. They're creating more of a community feel, and so the city and Lawrence Tech are working together, and we want to create a more vibrant 24/7 living environment. And so this new road will help open up the connections between the city property and all the businesses, creating easier walkways to get across the street and manage the traffic differently. Along Evergreen, we're seeing a tremendous amount of new development. I was just eating a little dinner over at CK Grill, where you could hear the noise pounding, where they tore down People's State Bank, and they're putting up a new 2-story development at that location, some more retail and some office. Moving down the road, there's, in front of the Travelers Tower, another new development going in, about 18,000 square feet of retail. We're really excited about that. The new owners of that property recently purchased the property, their Time Equities Group. They're planning on making a $10 million investment at their location. So they've invested a lot already, and they're planning on doing a lot more upgrades, just like the mayor mentioned, the Southfield Town Center is doing major upgrades to that facility as well. We've seen a lot of the buildings turn over. As I mentioned earlier, with the big decline, there was a lot of changing of the properties. Many of the companies, because of the vacancy rates, they had lost their properties to the bank, and out emerged some new ownership and new companies that have been very strong and been able to sustain themselves over the time, as well as new young investors that have come in. So we're really excited to see this new blood coming into the area. The people that owned Homer Bank purchased one of our properties. They're very aggressively renting their space and filling it up. As well, we saw a building that was really had about 10% occupancy. The owners decided, because of the town-gown relationship, that they were going to create a better environment there. They turned it into loft apartments. There are studios to 4 bedrooms, primarily suited to student living. However, they have a lot of young professionals that live at that facility. And so the top 3 floors are residential, and the lower floor, the yoga shelter just opened last week. We should all be going over there doing yoga. They have lunchtime yoga, and then they have several evening classes. It's an outstanding facility. If anyone, they have free passes. You can take it for a week and see if you like it. It's great. They have all different kinds of yoga. So if you've never done it, they have slow flow yoga. It's great. So I'm trying to promote that. As well, there's a new thing that's come up. And you've heard in the city of Detroit, they have several of these. It's co-working environments for entrepreneurs and people that are tech people that want to work cooperatively, startups. And so we have a really great space called Koala Co-work, and you pay a small fee, and you can use it an unlimited amount of times based on what you pay. They have a great workout facility there that's for the residents as well as the members of Koala, and it's a really great environment. So Koala, like the koala bear, K-O-A-L-A, Koala. They just thought, when I was talking to the guy who owns it, he's a techie. He owns a security technology company, and he's like, I just wanted a fun name that people would smile when you say the name, and Koala really serves the purpose. It's a really great facility. They've been partnering with the city and the chamber for some new activities. We've been really trying to bring all of our tech companies together so that they can see this environment, so that they can work cooperatively together, so we can build a stronger environment here. So this city center area, including some of the future investments, has also seen over $100 million of new investment. Some really great companies have come in to help continue to diversify our industries. We've seen a large company that relocated from the city of Detroit into Southfield, Marsh and Mercer. We were excited to see them come into the community. They were 176 people that relocated back into this environment. A lot of our office buildings are filling back up, and we're really excited about all the success that we're seeing in this area. So, and I guess the last thing that I just wanted to touch on was we have a really strong relationship with our Chamber of Commerce. If any of you own or operate or back at some of your residents, if they have home-based businesses or you own a business in the city, we really encourage you to get involved in our Chamber of Commerce. The city works actively with the Chamber. There's a lot of wonderful resources that we have in the community to help businesses grow and thrive. We work very well with Oakland County. They have an outstanding business service program that they have a lot of classes that are very low priced, $40 on a whole host of subjects, QuickBooks, through social media learning, through writing marketing plans. They have business counselors there that will talk to you about your business plan, help you get data, help you digest the data that you might have secured from our library, which also has an outstanding bunch of databases that are available, and a lot of people that can help you at our library. On the third floor, we have a large business section. So we have a lot of different resources for people to help grow their existing businesses here. So you don't have to be a multi-million-dollar company to get help. We want to help everybody, and you know, there's just me, but I partner with a lot of different people on a regular basis. So, you know, I do want to promote our Chamber of Commerce. So I do have some applications, and they have a lot of different workshops that are available. So if you're interested in anything that I talked about, I also handed out these folders. There's some information about Lawrence Tech, a little bit of information about our DDA in our city center area, a flyer that kind of highlights the city of Southfield and some of our new tenants. And then for those of you who have a smartphone, not everybody has, and I understand, but we handed out these little cards to help encourage people to come into the city. And if you peel this white thing off, and you use the white end to clean off your phone, so the other side's sticky, so you clean off your phone, and so that everyone knows where you're at. And underneath the city of Southfield, there's a QR code. So I don't know if any of you have downloaded the software on your smartphone, but if you take your QR code and put it over the phone over the QR code, it'll take you back to the city's website and to our business page. So I have extras of all that.
I'll just add a few things. Ms. Freeman covered a lot of ground. Our basic premise in economic development is the best business you have is the one that's already here. So even during the tough economic times, we continue to work those businesses. We've continued our attraction efforts. Attracting new companies is one of the most expensive forms of economic development. So you want to grow those companies that are here. We also do a lot of work. We're working with Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Oakland County, the Detroit Chamber of Commerce, the British Chamber, the French Chamber. We have members in about 12 different international chambers.
More members.
Look at the nameplates. Right across the street, there's a French company that moved in the old Travelers One building. We're actively engaged in a German company right now that we can't talk about. But this is stuff that began well over a year ago. So it's not just a matter of knocking on a door, but it's communicating a culture that as a community we're open for businesses to locate here. Obviously, in Michigan, with the strength of the auto sector, we continue to capitalize on that strength and the emergence of new technologies. Driving a lot of the innovation in our companies are safety. When you go to Denso, a lot of the research they're doing is related to safety for people not off when they sleep.
We're actually doing the research and testing for that car that will drive itself right here in Southfield. Is it Denso doing it?
Denso?
Yeah.
And a lot of our other suppliers will be part of it. Fuel, the new fuel standards. 2 weeks ago on Sunday there was an article about how impressive our fuel standards are. Today's headline about global warming and that, what we can do to improve the performance of our cars. And in the auto bailout of 2008, a lot of people thought we couldn't push those standards. We're pushing them, and a lot of that research is being done right here. So we've got the robotics involved in building it. We're going to do a major focus on the Telegraph corridor, as Ms. Freeman mentioned, the Telegraph Technology Corridor. You'll also see the resurgence of the former Blue Cross Blue Shield building, and that the new ownership will be marketing that facility as Metro Center.
Right.
Which
This
one?
this fall
The former Blue Cross Blue Shield property.
They have one
on 11 Mile.
and one on 11 Mile.
And late this summer, we'll begin the resurfacing of the 2,300 feet just east of Inkster Road. Federal Mogul, we almost lost them,
Yeah, we did.
and they are now going to occupy one of the towers at that location. So we're really excited about that. There is a development at the St. Bede site that's moving forward. 114 apartments, 32,000 square feet of retail, and a restaurant pad. We are looking to the future. What is in our control is our infrastructure. And this, in the next month, we'll begin the complete reconstruction of Evergreen Road.
Everyone, the next round table will be all about roads.
Okay.
So, second, I'm sure the room will be packed.
Evergreen 10 to 11 mile, 8 to 11 mile, Greenfield 8 to 9 mile, Greenfield 8 to 9 mile. Southfield will be leading Oakland County in new road reconstruction this year. We'll be #1 in the county.
You don't have to write this down because we have a new app that we'll be launching, and it's all on our website.
So those are some exciting things. Ms. Freeman also is involved with the Michigan International Shopping Center. So they have monthly trade shows in Michigan. Anyone who's looking, any restaurant, store who's looking to expand in Michigan, we're part of that. We're in Chicago twice a year for a regional, and then the mega retail event is in Las Vegas, where thousands of people across North America, Mexico, Canada, the United States, are all there, every shopping center. Anyone who's looking to expand, probably one of the largest trade shows in the world. This year we had the bus tour. We had, how many people show? 70? We had 2 busfuls
About 100 people.
of brokers. We brought them into the Travelers One building, presented them with a PowerPoint, and showed them some of the things happening. They could look out the window where where Time Equity, right on Evergreen Road, will be building a 10,000 square foot. They saw some things, kind of future coming attractions. So those are the marketing efforts that we undertake today. May not have a payday for a few more years, but you constantly stay at the table. Ms. Freeman is constantly brokering between businesses that are looking and business owners and trying to put these deals together. We're fortunate that we are the center of the real estate community. We have so many of these realtors and brokers that have a presence here that they do a lot of the footwork for us too. They also come knocking on our door, what can the city do to help? So we're looking at those. We're in a discussion with some of our ordinances, our tap fees for sewer and water. We're revising some of those to make them more user-friendly for new businesses.
So you've gotten kind of a snapshot, so I wanted to open it up to you all to ask any questions, concerns, requests, desires that you have for the city. So the floor is open. Yes, sir.
You just mentioned tap fees for the water and that. I assume that you've got a reduced rate for new businesses. For new development. Are you doing anything to lower it for existing businesses to try and make sure that they stay on an even keel, or don't think that they're being discriminated against and look other places?
We are currently competitive with our peers on that. We've shopped that. But the reality is that the community our system is fully built out, but yet our connection fee system is a model that you use when your system is still growing. And I'll use, for example, Arbor Lofts. That building had been there for years. They had all of their sanitary connections. But when they converted it, our formula counted the number of toilets, washers, and dryers. And you might scratch your head and say, gosh, all that capacity has already been there. So it's one of those things that we've already built the system. Now our challenge should be to get that system to be fully optimized. And so we're taking a very systematic approach and looking at the system and saying, where are we not fully optimized? And if there are places that we still need to invest, we'll keep that model. But when you look at the city center, Telegraph, Southfield corridor, the DDA, we already have a system large enough to handle that and a substantial amount of growth. So let's run that as a loss leader to get the additional business in the system, which will allow us to keep our rates flatter for our residents as well as our businesses. Our residents are 67% of that water usage. So by getting new users, we can keep our operating costs flatter. So that's, we've been working on that for the last 2-3 months. I think in the next 2 months we'll move it forward. The city's Economic Development Committee's already made a recommendation in favor of that.
Are you looking at doing anything with the existing buildings that have, no occupancy or had very low occupancy or the businesses moved? Are you doing anything to market those buildings also?
Some of the things that the city has been doing is one, we've been offering different incentives to bring companies into the city. So besides helping to streamline the process for the entry into our community, working with our building department and streamlining that whole process, we do offer incentives for people who are paying large amounts of personal property tax. That's one of the things that we can do versus some of our competitor communities like Troy and Farmington Hills. So we can help reduce that issue. We also have a tool that we put in place about 1.5 years ago. It's called PACE, Property Assessment Clean Energy. It's a way to bring some additional funds to a project. It's for people who are renovating their office space. We have, like we said, there's a lot of buildings that are older that need some work, and most of that work is energy efficiency upgrades. And so this PACE program allows the owner of the property to specially assess themselves to bring some more assurances to somebody who might be a fund that might be paying into or offering some capital to a project. So we have 2 companies that are moving through that process right now. So that's a big incentive to bring some new money in at a different level so the property owners can use their money on different issues. And we have been actively marketing. I know Irv wants to add something, but we do work with a lot of, with Fred mentioned the Detroit Regional Chamber, the state of Michigan, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. They go throughout the world, really, to bring new businesses back to the state. And so we stay in very strong communications with them to bring leads into the city. So we don't have the funding to go on those big trade missions, but we have these partners that are out there. So they bring people back to our area, and then we showcase our space to market it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, the presentations were excellent and definitely covered most of the areas. But one thing that we touched upon briefly here, we're talking about personal property tax. And something that everyone should know, on the ballot this August is going to be an item regarding the personal property tax. The city gets its taxes from real property as well as also personal property.
Real property.
Real property is your homes, the actual physical structures. In addition to that, there was also a tax on the equipment in these companies.
Computers.
Desks, large machinery, industrial machinery. And so the state of Michigan has been aggressive in terms of trying to change the tax structure, make Michigan more attractive for businesses, and they were looking to shift away from the personal property tax, especially for the smaller businesses. Businesses that have a $40,000 and below taxable value, the goal is that those taxes are going to be eliminated on those smaller companies to make it more attractive. And it's also a headache to have to collect the small tax bills that we have to mail out for those companies. It's more of a hassle and an expense to collect those monies than actual that we collect on it. So the state will reimburse us back, but it requires a vote of the people, and they're planning to use the use tax. It's a portion of taxes that the state of Michigan collects, it's called the use tax. That funding for the replacement money to the city will come from that. It requires a vote of the people to approve using that money to reimburse the city and throughout all the municipalities throughout the state of Michigan. So we strongly encourage, if people have any questions, they can contact me. I can try, it's a very confusing thing, but I'll be happy to help out in terms of understanding it, but we encourage you to vote yes.
And you'll be hearing more about that.
The unfortunate part of that, every time you expect the state to reimburse you for anything, you get zilch.
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
Well, they
so,
have,
you
they
know,
have the right to make adjustments to it, what that reimbursement
It is challenging, but when we're looking to bring new companies into the city, there's people that are out working for large corporations, they're called site selectors. And site selectors have formulas and checklists. And they don't really look at anything except their checklist. So one check is personal property. So several of our surrounding communities have eliminated personal property. And so if a company has a large amount of personal property, they don't even look at the community. They just look at the checklist, and it's a check yes or a check no, and you might just be completely eliminated from the site selector's view if you don't make the checklist. And then they come out and look at the community. So it's kind of all arbitrary.
But this new law that you'll be asked to vote on will be a statewide formula for everyone. Yes.
You mentioned briefly about the new development at Southfield, 12 Mile, the deed property. Are there any other, in addition to that development, any other developments that's anticipated for the Southfield corridor between 12 Mile and 13 Mile?
As you all know, there's that piece of property that's on the opposite side, on the east side of Southfield Road, and Mr. Zorn, you can talk about that. We've had some challenges with deed restrictions, but we don't have anything currently on the table for that.
You have a piece of property that's privately held at Pierce on the east side of Southfield. The the owner continues to look at their options, but nothing's really moved forward. It's a matter of time. Head a little bit further north, the former mobile home park. There's a pad there that's got some decent incentives on it that I'm surprised hasn't been picked up. But part of this is creating a little bit more buzz. You're going to see 32,000 new square feet of retail come in there. Within the city center, the number's almost 35,000 square feet of new retail. So the marketplace looks at that. I hate making a statement. There's a lot of herd mentality. We like to think the way we're taught in school that people do very detailed market research. Some of these folks look and say, if they're making a buck, we can figure this out too, and they join that herd. We're excited about that level of investment. We know from the retail tour we had, there's lots of different little restaurants and stores that aren't here. I think the next challenge for the community will be, we've got a lot of these, what do they call themselves, casual dining facilities. In any DDA city center area, your next challenge is in your retail mix. Can you bring in the dry cleaner? Can you bring in the shoe repair? Can you bring in the florist, the nail salon, the services, and then can you bring in the clothing retailers? And that's going to be part of our challenge. If you watch any traditional DDA, they go through that where they'll have a plethora of one type of business, then others will come in. But it takes a very concentrated effort to diversify that retail mix. And I'll tell you, these casual dining establishments pay premium rents, and that's part of the challenge. And so that'll be part of our growing and the opportunities that will come to Southfield. If you look at the City Center's website, the City Center Board had Robert Gibbs do an analysis. He does market analysis for Taubman, all the major retailers. We have phenomenal numbers in that corridor. within that part of the city. And that's the message we need to get out to the world.
Along.
Now, I also want to say that what we have seen in the city of Southfield, that town and gown relationship, who would have thought we could support that much of casual dining on Evergreen Road? Because, during the day, absolutely, it's packed. But now in the evening, we have in that loft building over 100 students in that loft building who students don't normally cook. They can walk to Lawrence Tech, or they can go get the casual dining that's along Evergreen Road. We want to continue to support that. And that's why in front of the Travelers Building, you're going to see another strip. You see the strip of retail that's going to be opening on down the road a little bit, right next to the golf course. So we have, in our town gown development concept, we are developing for the population of students who will be at Lawrence Tech, as well as the 5,000 building, as well as our residents. The other thing we don't do a good job of at Southfield is keeping these businesses, people in town after 5 o'clock. In a lot of the other cities, in Troy and others, they just kind of empty the building and spill out into their restaurants and into their retail businesses. We are not doing a good job of that, but we didn't have anything for them to spill out to. So we're creating this synergy right here, and you're going to start seeing that along Southfield Road as well. And so it's a vision and it's a process. And just like our Mr. Zorn said, it may not happen tomorrow, but you have to continue to build it. And another thing, a couple of things I want to comment on, then I'm open up for a couple more questions because we don't have that much time left. Our car dealerships, I have been talking to all the car dealerships, and I try to think of, do you know their sales? Some of them said their sales have not been this good since the 90s. And then people are buying, and our own Southfield Chrysler is the third highest dealership in the country right now.
Yay.
And that mini dealership is doing excellent. They are so glad they located in Southfield. And so when I talk to them, the economy as it's coming back, this winter was rough, and I don't know if everyone waited for the snow to melt to go out and buy a car. That may be the case, but they said they are having record sales. Our R&D is really driving these automotive suppliers in our country, in our city. Now, you have to know BASF, Eaton Corporation, Federal Mogul, Lear, Pico, Kamal, Denso. All of these are Tier 1 automotive suppliers in R&D. And they supply for all of the foreign and American, domestic and foreign, car suppliers. And the amount of salaries that are in those buildings are astounding, because these are, they'll tell you, they're $70,000 and up, because these are engineers. So that ties back to our economic development of Lawrence Tech. That's why we put their name on the entrance to our city. That in university is something for us to be very proud of. It sets us apart of saying that we have this amazing intellectual property here in the city with our students and with the engineering and the R&D that Lawrence Tech is doing is renowned as well. So many people don't know Lawrence Tech this year has more foreign students than they have American students. So this is an international place of education. And in that law, 80 students from China moved into the law. And they're all students of LTU. So, when we look at our diversity, and once you get them walking into the community and they feel like this is home, it becomes a place for them to say, I might want to, move out. Another thing, a lot of people don't know, over there by, Tamarack, there's a number of homes over there that the students are leasing out that I didn't know about. You know about Circle Drive. So there are students, because once they get to be seniors and older, they don't particularly want to live in a dorm, and they're actually renting property in our city. So they're having a major impact on our community. The medical Main Street. During these tough economic times, if it wasn't for, as Mr. Zorn said, our meds and eds, I don't know what we would have done, because it was the educational institutions that were buying property, developing and expanding, and our medical, our hospitals. And we have 2 hospitals in our city. We have the Southfield, Oakland Regional Hospital. We have Providence. Both of them have invested in their property, have upgraded and expanded services. And we also have, I tell anyone, if you have a doctor or a lawyer, they're probably in Southfield. One of those 2 areas, you're going to hit Southfield, because we are inundated in that area with medical use. And that one Northland Towers building right off of Greenfield, the medical building, it's almost totally occupied by medical and docs in that area. And we had the building on Greenfield Road where those doctors, what was that building, the Providence Pavilion. The whole building was occupied. Providence actually moved out of it to give that whole building to the Phoenix Group, which is a group of physicians who moved in. So, when we look at what's happening and the level that Shelley looks at bringing people here, all of these things are like coming together to solidify us as an economic hub. And we continue, some people were kind of been out of shape when Blue Cross Blue Shield moved, and then when the DTE moved. But we are going to continue to have the best location in the region. We're going to continue to have the Class A and now A-plus buildings that we can market. So I feel good about our future, and I feel good about the way that we are. Mr. Zorn, one of the things he's very strong on, and Shelley has been pushing this message, is that we have to be open for business. You notice we actually changed our ordinance for signs, because we did not allow electronic signs. We're now looking at how you illuminate buildings. We are looking at how long does it take from when you bring in your building plan to when you actually get approved in council. And if we are not open for business and business friendly, it hinders our ability to attract very, progressive and fast-growing companies want things done now. We have to protect our ordinances. We have to make sure that people are in compliance, and you see the discussions. Our council member Joan Seymour is here, and you have seen the discussion at council meetings where they don't lay down. They ask the hard questions, and they keep pushing until they get what they feel works for our city. So, Mr.
I just wanted to also mention that we just had a luncheon with the Oakland County Economic Development team as well, which was, we had professors from Michigan State, I believe it was, University of Michigan, and they had given the... But bottom line was that they were talking about the past few years in economic development, as well as also the upcoming from 2014 to 2016, and where the trends are and what's going on with the unemployment rates. And up until recently, we've been behind the entire country. We've higher unemployment than the rest of the country. But now, the way they're seeing it, this is going to be the year where we're actually going to make tremendous strides in Oakland County, and hopefully we make up a sizable piece of Oakland County in economic development. We're going to end up having a lower unemployment rate in this area than the rest of the country. We're going to get it down to 5.2% is the goal within the next 2 years. And the area that the jobs are growing in are going to be in the engineering jobs. It's going to be the #1 industry for the next 2 years that they're seeing top-paying jobs, 70,000 plus jobs, $70,000 a year plus on those positions, and it should be growing at about a 20% rate. over the next 2 years. So that's an important thing, and we're situated for that growth, and so we're welcoming these companies. And the biggest thing that the big takeaway from the event was that if you have a company, you should be looking to do your hiring now, because it's going to be very hard to find qualified employees very shortly. And anyone who's looking to go to school, that's one of the professions. You should be an engineer. That's one of the areas that you're going to find lots of jobs available.
Linnea?
And when you mention engineers, people think of automotive. In the medical field, there's engineering, physicians, and in fact, my granddaughter's in Illinois, and they do the little tiny little stuff and all that kind of stuff. That is very high paying, and we're in the center of it. And we're in the center of it.
And God said it's building.
And that's the strength of LTU's new president.
Right.
Well, if you look at his career at Oakland University, what he did with the School of Nursing, Allied Health Sciences, and the medical school, the convergence of the disciplines, that is going to be a huge future growth. And even the new facility they're building, it's in the research and the growth, but we think that the
materials engineering,
the microsurgery processes, the Da Vinci, that's the future. I just want to comment on workforce development, because looking at this audience, and I think it's real important, we learned, candidly, Southfield's unemployment level is still a little too high. We're double the state, and I apologize for not having an exact number, but every time I look, we host a career center. When you look at our statistical profile, we are a well-educated community, and we are higher than the Oakland County average. Number of college graduates, 4-year degrees, associate degrees, advanced degrees. The unemployment rate is still a little bit skewed. During the Great Recession, there were some programs that really helped close that gap that aren't being funded right now. And there were things where certificates, if you were out of work, and LTU and Oakland Community College really stepped up and filled that gap. The fact is, and it's one of the things that we're working on in the public policy, is too much of our career employment worked when we had a 4% unemployment rate. We assumed that everyone didn't have educations, and we ran it almost like a welfare agency, that it was a remedial skill development.
Right.
Well, the fact is, we have people who have good skills who just need to be retooled to keep up with technology. And if you're someone who's been out of work for a couple of years, coming up with $75,000, $10,000 to retool yourself is a push. So with our Career Center, we've got that on our agenda. But the other thing is, I think the mayor, the treasurer, and Shelley said this, for us to encourage our young people that for hope, they're really, we are turning, and there will be this year a net gain. We will get back to the 2008 levels. We're not quite at the peak employment levels of 2003, but we're getting better. So I think it's real important that when we talk about this brain drain, I've got a niece who's graduated from college in Chicago, heading out to California, and it hurts your family. But I also realized we as taxpayers put a lot of money into her, and now we're losing our investment. So I think it's important that we've seen these tough times before, and we're getting a little bit better, but we try to reach out to our young people and give them hope.
But, we do want to encourage people to go to the Southfield Michigan Works office. They have a website, they have a link, they have a whole page on the city's website at citysouthfield.com. If you have family members that are looking for assistance or young people that need a little bit of direction, they have some really outstanding services. Yes, they are a little underfunded, but that being said, there are companies that are hiring that have job training programs and different initiatives that are in existence. So we really want people to take advantage of the resources that are available and not just stay out of the workforce altogether, because there are opportunities, you just have to take advantage of them.
Where on the city website is that?
It's right, if you go to city departments, Southfield Michigan Works. It's easy to find, and everybody has my business card, So if you have a problem finding something, you're welcome to email me, and I would be happy to send you a link.
So we're at the point, we've used our hours, so I'm gonna go around the table and make sure everyone has gotten their questions answered. And I'm gonna start with you. Do you have any questions or comments? All the way at the end? Yes.
My only thought was, you talked about big businesses. What about, what aid is available for small businesses?
We have a lot of wonderful programs. We work with Oakland County and our Southfield Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. So the chamber works very well with the county as well. If somebody's looking to open a new business, I highly recommend that they take advantage of the Southfield Public Library resources as well. I'd be happy to meet with them. But Oakland County, and we don't replicate the services that the county offers, but if you even just Googled Oakland County Business Services, they have tons of great workshops and programs. And if someone has trouble finding funding and they've either maxed themselves out, there's a wonderful woman, her name is Brenda, and she oversees a micro loan program, and she will work with you to help you establish and grow your business and nurture you.
And Shelley has worked with me. I hosted a small business entrepreneur conference every year, and where we brought in the small business, Oakland County, the GSA, how can a small business tap into federal? And that is just a missed opportunity. Small businesses, especially minority-owned businesses, where they really work hard. There's so many contracts that you can have as far as even paper clips, food supply, carpeting, all kind of things the federal government gets. And we brought them in. We did one on how do you get financing. I know Tomler Bank right now is really working hard to submit that, and that's what I want to put together this year, is to bring the banks in, because that's always the issue. How do small businesses get those loans? And they miss those opportunities.
We have workshops all the time. So please visit the Southfield Chamber of Commerce. Encourage your neighbors and your small other businesses. We have so many workshops. The banks are constantly reaching out to business owners, and I'm happy to help anybody take advantage of the resources.
And our city treasurer.
And Huntington Bank, we just recently increased our relationship with them. They're the #1 of the small business lending banks out there, so they have made a commitment to help small businesses in Southfield.
Okay. Yes, sir. My neighbor. Do you have any comments? Okay.
No, I enjoyed myself, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna ask you what you see as your biggest challenges, but you may have already addressed those as some of the things you're
Well,
tackling.
you know, we're a developed city, and so one of the reasons why development in Southfield is a painstaking process is that anything you try to develop is abutting to something, or you have to tear something down, and you know, you have 7 people who have to see it. You have a business who wants to just, you know, they may not see the impact they're having. And so you've got to bring all it together versus areas where it's wide open green, you just pop it down and you have a good day. And so that's our biggest challenge. I mean, it's wonderful to have a developed city because, as Mrs. Zorn said, our infrastructure is already in place. So where the green places, sometimes they don't do that well. And that's why you're seeing some brand new subdivisions built and the house burned down because there's no water. But that's our biggest challenge, is that everything you build, you have to figure out how to make it fit in. And then you have neighbors, you have existing businesses.
And there are so many stakeholders.
Yes, so many. Yes.
I'm all set. I just appreciate your providing these round tables for us.
You're very welcome.
Mine, I'm not sure if it's appropriate at this meeting, but it's relative to the Mary Thompson Farms. Can I talk about that for a little while?
Is it for economic development, or you just
Well,
don't think the farms are being handled right?
Well, it's kind of a mixture of it. The people in I guess everybody is aware of the gardens over
Yeah.
there. And, a lot of the people are concerned there that, you know, originally it was the Autumn Fest. It was called the Autumn Fest. And, we had a lot of, in fact, I typed it all up so I wouldn't be windy about this. Here, let me read this.
Well, if you would,
I'll just give
well,
it to you.
yeah, and Mr.
Okay, let
Zorn
me
and
do
I
that.
will look at that because,
Okay, because there
yeah.
were several issues that,
Okay.
and I told them that I was coming tonight, and I really would like for you
Yeah.
to be aware of some of
I
them.
would be
Okay.
glad to talk to you about
Thank
that.
you.
Did you have anything?
No, it's economic development, you know, preparedness.
Do mention tornado season is
Yeah.
coming here.
So severe weather season is fastly, well, we're in severe weather season. There's been tornadoes around the country. One of the things, I've put a bunch of pamphlets out there on some things that you can do to be prepared. This month, we're focusing on, in the past, we've always talked about what you do at home when some tornado comes. This month, we have do one thing, we're focusing on what you do at work, your kids' school, and your community. So what we want you to do is to find out at work, what's your disaster plans at work, at your kids' school, what's the disaster plan, where would you shelter, where's your AEDs, where's the fire extinguishers, so I'll focus on work. The information I have here, do one thing, if you go to the website, it'll tell you to do one thing each month. And that way, after the end of 12 months, you'll be better prepared to deal with any disaster.
Thank you very much.
Good? Okay.
Okay, I have just two, sites that I was wondering about, and they've been a sore spot within the city, namely the Farmer Jack's on 11 Mile and Lasher. And then there's a site on 12 Mile Road, east of Pierce Road on the northern side. It was a building that was torn down quite a bit, a long time ago. And there's been a lot of digging. Do you have any idea what's going on there, what the plans are for that?
Where is this?
East of Pierce, north side of 12 Mile Road.
It was the building that burnt down?
Yeah.
Oh,
They have
yes,
insurance, they have insurance.
Right.
So did any building go
There's nothing going on there, and I apologize for not knowing the answer. I saw some emails late last week that someone was using the property, and we were trying to figure out, they didn't have any permission, and I need to circle back and find out, because we got the site cleaned up from before,
Yeah.
and then someone started parking their stuff there, and I think it's one of the county's utility folks, but when I went through Public Works, we didn't grant them any kind of permission, and that was as of last Friday.
Let us do some research. We have everyone's email address, right? And we'll send everyone the answer to that question.
So,
Okay.
and the Farmer Jack's, I can just talk about that quickly. So, you know, a lot of times, like I mentioned earlier, the properties, when they're empty and the people choose to not, just like the homes, foreclose, the property goes back to the bank. And that Farmer Jack's property, a lot of times, people will have long-term leases on properties, and when the lease expires, even if the place closed, the corporation is still paying the property owner for many years, which is a major disincentive for people to backfill the property because they'll lose the rent that's coming in. There was a court issue with Farmer Jack's owner, the family, and all of the abandoned locations, and they dissolved the leases across the board. And the owner of the property just said, you know what, I'm going to let this property go back to the bank. So several, you know, whenever you see some of these abandoned properties, they go back to the bank. And there have been some people that have been really looking at that site to put in another grocer. So there have been discussion about that, but it's very slow in coming. And, you know, because it's still owned by the bank, I think, or maybe somebody just recently purchased it, it's just a long process.
Yeah.
But we're working on it. I call Hiller at least
That was a dream.
Come on, Yeller, come on, come on,
Shelley, I agree with you. That was always a Walmart ploy. Remember the thing over in Mayor Faust said? They were holding on to a building because they didn't want somebody else to come in. I took marketing in college.
Right.
And it's a marketing ploy, and it's done a lot.
Yeah.
I worked for Sears, and there's a lot of that
So you
stuff
know.
going on. And you guys can't do a thing about it.
No.
Sorry.
And it's just an unfortunate
Yeah,
situation.
my other concern is, we have a wonderful Chaldean Chamber of Commerce, and we have a black, do you guys liaison with them?
Yes, we
Because they are
do.
new, and they maybe you know things that maybe would help them, you know
Well,
what I'm
we are active, the African or Black Chamber, we're, I think the mayor and some of the council people are very active with that organization. We have worked with them on a couple of occasions.
Good to know.
I'm not affiliated with that organization. The Chaldean Chamber, we're very active with that group. We've been longtime members of the Chaldean Chamber, as well as a lot of different ethnic chambers across the board.
Wonderful.
And they all offer different purposes.
I just wanted to know that, because I'm very active interfaith in the community beyond Southfield. And
Sure.
I hear things.
Yeah, they're very,
I want an answer, that's what I want to know.
yeah, they're a great organization, and Martin Manna, he is a wonderful leader of the group, and they have, they've been very successful in encouraging large corporations that have Chaldean members to get their corporations involved in their chamber, and they have probably one of the fastest rising, strongest chambers in the area.
If you guys can liaison, we would be
Yeah, we work with
powerful.
them.
We would
Yeah.
be very powerful city.
They have their office in Southfield.
I know where they are, yeah.
And that goes both ways.
I know, I'm
They
just
bring
saying.
you to us too, which is.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you do, you
Yeah, absolutely.
reassured me, because I've had that question given to me in the community.
Yeah.
And
I think we can strengthen our relationship with the Black
Yeah.
Chamber.
I just wanna make sure.
Chamber.
Yeah, they're new.
And that-
You have reassured me, because there are people new to the community who are asking me these questions,
Yeah.
and I have no answers. You gave me
Okay.
some.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was just wondering, how would the Evergreen construction affect the businesses along that road? I know there's construction going on right now or soon.
There's always an impact. I can tell you when we did Telegraph Road, the businesses called me on a regular basis. The impact is not always positive. It is unnecessary evil. We have to repair the roads. We make sure we know. A couple things that happened on Telegraph Road, we got calls and people did not know that they could turn in off of Telegraph Road during the construction into their lot. So we actually started, and you saw this, that it was names of the company right at the turn-in. So as we go along, you want to make sure you keep an easeway or opening for people to turn off during the construction into the side lot. And as it transforms as you go along. What are the needs? Because that was the first time I ever saw a sign identifying a building or a company right when you're going down the construction lane, so that it's because the lane might have been the one that's in the center that's open, and there would be a sign, and they would prepare it so you could drive over the gravel to get into those lots. So we have to repair the roads. We know that they're there. At the end of the day, it's just like 11 Mile Road, where we're going to do it in front of the new Metro Center. Is that going to impact traffic? Yes. Are they dying and crying for us to fix it? Absolutely. And so it's a necessary evil. But we will not block access. It's planned, and we will not block it. Is that your only question? Okay.
No, I just want to thank you for having the roundtable, for all the information given tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, you talked about the efforts you were doing for businesses. How is that going to tie into how the property and the personal situation for the city of Southfield? Are property levels going to go back up now? Anything special being done now that we're bringing all these businesses in to promote sales of homes and things like that?
Well, the economic development, we're talking about the business community, but you need to know that we should be so proud of ourselves of how we kept it together with the foreclosure crisis we had. We were one of the largest volume of foreclosures in Oakland County. And we made it through that, and it's remarkable. We did not allow it to blight our community. And now there are bidding wars on our homes, and our property values are slowly going back up. And the thing that I love, I know in Beacon Square, we can test, every time someone buys one of those vacant homes, immediately there's a dumpster put in the driveway, and they're totally stripping it and updating it. And so they are investing in the property. And one of the things that we had that was so good, we have very few of what you call those storefronts. We have more of the office buildings, and although some of them were half empty, you can't tell it from the outside. So our city still looked stellar, and we still had our high rises. We fought blight, and many of you were at this table during that crisis where we reported the vacancies. We kept an eye on it. We had standards, and we didn't allow a property to deteriorate in the middle of our community. And you all did that. You all did that. You know, we supported it. We funded in our budget. When our budget was dropped by 40% our property value, we still had our curb appeal budget that we sent. We hired people to look at the property. We kept staff because we knew it was important. So what's happening is our investment in our community is paying off. And I can tell you, our Jewish community is growing in Beacon Square. You know, we had so many properties that were bought, that were foreclosed, that I know one year we had 25 families that belong, because Young Israel feed into our community. And so, and then in other communities, the Jewish community is growing. And something that you'll see now, you'll see more diversity in the neighborhoods where, you know, to me that's a healthy sign. I don't care who moves in the city as long as you keep it up. But when you're a community that's desirable for all groups, it's a sign of you being a desirable community. And so I'm seeing more diversity. You know, I've seen young families move in with children. That says a lot for a community because most of us are old. And we've got to replenish the community, and so that's a good sign. But you know, we have been, and this year I'm excited about Litter Free Starts With Me, and we put it in the schools, and I did that purposely because if our children learn to respect property and not to litter, that is half of the problem. You know, it's not good to throw something out the window. And we had last Saturday, not just the last Saturday, before that, where we had children from their own schools went out and cleaned up their own school property. And so they learned that, oh, gee, this is dirt and this is trash. So the next time that they're out there walking to school or whatever, they go like, oh, I don't want to do that. Because they were actually out there pulling all that trash up that's stuck in the weeds and whatever. So we continue to do that, and I'm very proud. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Our next roundtable will be June 2nd, and it will be roads, and we'll advertise it. Thank you.